What have I said a million times? If you've got all the money in the world and you're making a movie, you're looking for a comedy all-star, there's one name, and that name is Seth Rogen. But if you can't get him, I'm telling you people, Vince Vaughn. That's your man, is Vince Vaughn from the new film Unfinished Business, and he joins us back in studio on the Kevin and Bean Show on KROQ. How are you, sir?
Great to be with you guys. It's been a while. How you been?
We're good.
Yeah, we catch up with you on the phone for most of your movies. You're usually traveling around the world peddling your product, but it's great to have you in town.
Yeah,
it's good to see you.
Living here, back here in Los Angeles again, so it's nice to be able to come down and see you in person. Although you are in Seattle currently, so it's nice to hear you over the phone and see everybody else.
Now, what was that like? So you, if I remember correctly, you married a civilian a few years ago, right?
That's right. It was a civilian, a Canadian civilian.
Oh, a Canadian, too. She had no idea who you were then. She lives in the hinterlands.
That's right. Very nice Eskimo lady, though.
Oh, that's nice.
Well, it's fine, but I gave gifts to the family. It wasn't her choice,
Sure.
but it's, you know what I mean? There's no arguing.
She's adapting.
She's fine. She doesn't have a lot of a choice, but yes, adapting is a word we could use.
So you didn't have to go live in an igloo. She came to live in your mode of home, right?
That's right.
Okay.
I wrestled the men of the village, and she was my price.
So I'm just trying to put it together. So you moved away. You actually left California for a while and lived in and tried to have a personal life and raise a family.
Yeah, I grew up in Chicago. I was raised in Chicago, but I always felt like I grew up here, and because I moved when I was 18, right after high school. And me and you were actually, as we've spoken many times, were neighbors for a while on
That's
Rossmore. Right. And so when I first had the kids, I went back to Chicago because with little kids, I don't like the idea of going out and every time you go to get something to eat or do something that there's paparazzi. So. But I'm back.
Are they not? Do they not try and be sensitive to kids?
They haven't been sometimes. They just want their photos or whatever, and I understand it. But as a parent, it's like you don't want to feel like you're walking around and someone's popping out and taking a photo. But
of course not.
Anyway, I ended up here in the South Bay where there isn't a lot of that, and it's been great. It's I love it there, and we get to.
How long were you gone, Vince? And did you miss L.A.?
I did. Yeah, I did. I mean, I love Chicago. That's home for me. But I made a life out here, so this is my home.
I don't mean this at all in a disrespectful way, but what can a photo of Vince Vaughn be worth in 2014 or whatever it was?
I'm glad you didn't mean to be disrespectful, Dean.
It's not taken disrespectfully at all.
But what's the market?
Well, no, I'm glad you asked that question, and it's not. There's no disrespect intended or received.
Excellent.
That photo goes for a lot of bones. That's going to cost someone a lot of bones.
Really?
Yeah. There's been. I don't want to say second homes bought on it, but yeah, there's been maybe a down payment, maybe 20%
in the parking lot. Actually, you were moving some product out there in the parking lot.
Well, you have very good eyes, and it wasn't photos I was moving. So mind your own business. If you want some, you can have it, and it's free. And then if you want more, and your friends like it, come back and we'll talk about a price.
I understand. Okay.
Is that a 5-minute thing?
That's right.
I love that there's a guy who's going down to the newsstand every Friday, going, "Gotta get me some Vince Vaughn pictures." What's that guy been up to?
That guy has a really rich life. I don't know why you're judging him. I don't want you want to bring in negativity to the table.
Yeah.
Why would you want to hate someone who's working from a beautiful place?
That's a good point, Vince. I'm
My
sorry.
gosh.
I misread the situation.
My goodness,
I'm so sorry.
you're like one of the Rangers that made fun of Rudolph for being special. This has turned ugly, and you're better than that, Bean.
He's not.
No.
He really is.
Yeah, no, actually he is.
He's not.
Okay, he's not.
We know better.
We had you in. How many years ago was the Who Hurt You conversation? 15?
Oh, well, Vince wouldn't know, but it was definitely mid-90s.
We rocked it mid-90s with that.
He gave you one of those backhanded compliments, and you just stopped the entire interview, and you said, "Who hurt you?" And you just started burrowing.
Can I tell you something?
That was awesome.
Love comes in all kinds of forms. Maybe that was some tough love, but it was a hug. It was a wet kiss is what it was. I'm not going to have it described as anything different.
No.
Well, you forced me to reevaluate myself. That's for sure.
Well, if an oil check is good, but let's not over-focus on it. Let's get you back out playing with the other kids.
Unfinished Business is the new film that's in theaters everywhere this Friday.
By the way, saw it last night. Love
Yes,
this film.
right?
Yeah, it's our comedy. It's nice to be in something that's adult, and it's got a lot of big laughs in it, so it was fun.
I want to talk about the casting for a minute because Tom Wilkinson, who is one of the greatest actors in the world
I know
today,
what you're thinking. Why is he slumming with me and Franco?
No, I'm not thinking that at all. I'm thinking
a little bit.
Why are you throwing Franco in with that?
Well, because me and Franco run around making jokes like a couple of smacked asses, and this guy's got the Oscar nodding at him. So yeah, it's not an obvious choice.
He is incredible because you usually see him playing these super intense, dramatic roles, but he was in what was the first big movie we saw him? The Full Monty, right? Did we see him in the
Yes,
Full Monty? Isn't that
that's
when
right.
he broke out? But since then, it's been all drama, and it was just so refreshing. And he was so funny in this film, playing the comedy. He's great at it.
He's a great actor, and he came with a good spirit. And a lot of times, I think guys who do drama, they get excited to come do something different like comedy. So I think he's great in the movie, and he was a lot of fun. And we had a lot of laughs with him.
He brings the gravitas too. That in his character, he is the older guy who's been around the block a few times, and he's a little bit wiser even than you are in this situation when he's doing the business.
Well, that's up for interpretation. But keep going.
my interpretation
I'm just saying,
was
it's
that
like
he's
it's
a little
hard.
wiser
It's
than
hard.
you.
I understand. But then you have to interpret the interpreter and how wise they are. So
So that really,
I'm just saying, it's a conversation.
it was effective.
It's at least a conversation.
Have him there as playing someone who's older and much smarter than you are.
Yeah. Again, it's a conversation.
No, it's not really. That's pretty much fact.
Well, I
It was
think-
in the film.
I
It was
think-
pretty obvious to
I think
everyone
I think the only thing we can agree on is that you're really declaring a lot about yourself, but by the way, which isn't bad. If you want to know what, if you were all the way there, what fun would life be? And
That's
the fact
true.
that you've got some room to grow, I think you got a lot to be excited about.
All right, Vince, for people who haven't seen the movie yet, describe your character and then Franklin Wilkins.
Well, I think my character in the movie is kind of a guy who is tired of sort of being in a corporate kind of like a hamster on the wheel, and so he wants to do something different. It feels like a good idea, but then when the dream of it isn't matching with reality, it's a bit of a struggle. And Dave is a kid, how do I say this? He's a little touched. He sees the world a little differently, maybe. He's got some gifts that could be seen as challenges. And he's kind of inexperienced when it comes to taking a business trip, so he's kind of down for a good time.
He's so good.
I think he crushes it in this movie.
I do,
Dave.
too.
Yeah. He's really, really funny.
And when I started watching it, I was a little bit afraid, like, oh no, this is just a one-note guy. But he pulls it off through the whole thing, and you end up loving him.
I think not only is he really funny, but he's got a real warmth to him in the movie, too. You end up really liking him. But he's just hilarious. Funny.
And Tom's character.
Yeah, Tom is like you said, although some of it a little bit, but he was an older gentleman. He has a level of wisdom that's high for the average person. But he's kind of a guy at the end of his career who now is kind of one last hurrah. He actually wants a divorce. He does not want to be married anymore, but he wants to have some money to leave to his wife. He wants to do it with dignity and class. And so this trip for him is sort of meaningful so that he can kind of start a new life.
Even though she looks like a vending machine, he wants to give her a couple bucks.
Yes, he says she does resemble a vending machine, and that they don't make love, and that the love life isn't good. That's correct. Yeah.
Vince, do you have you must get offered so many scripts per year, and you can only do so many. Do you feel like you have a pretty good radar for what's funny or what's going to work for you?
I don't know. It's like sometimes you're just an actor for hire, and you kind of go in and it's not really up to you. And sometimes you go in thinking you're hitting one target and making a certain kind of movie, then you realize that the director or the studio is going in a direction that you didn't realize that they were doing. And that can be frustrating. So I think the most fun you have is if everyone's trying to do the same thing, you share a sense of humor, and everyone's making the same movie.
Did you help write this at all? Because it seems like it's so you.
No, Steve Conrad, who wrote Pursuit of Happiness, actually wrote the movie. And I think that this movie is very interesting because it's really funny, and it also just has some interesting, odd perspectives on stuff. There's some things that are kind of surprising, and I think that's really Steve.
And they're not throwaway characters. That's what I love about it. Your character isn't, Franco isn't, Wilkinson. Everybody has a role, and they're great playing, and you're interested all the way throughout the movie.
I think they dimensionalize them, which is good.
I was talking to Vince in the other room, and I said, as a dad, it's kind of nice to see a comedy where the father isn't just a buffoon, where he's operating at some level of competency and also is motivated by all the right things. Not because he's having a midlife crisis or something, but he wants to take care of his kids and his wife, and that's a rare, especially in a comedy.
Yeah, and I liked it too because it's easy to kind of make the guy sort of be kind of incompetent. And what I think is cool is that the character is actually a guy who, yes, he has his challenges, but he's the competent guy facing those challenges, which makes it more interesting.
Absolutely.
Well, what I think is cool is that we learned that steam rooms in Germany are unisex. That's what I think is cool about the movie.
Yeah, that's fantastic news all around. Depending on your physique level, depending on how the muscle tone level, because you don't want to be the guy in the robe hanging out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You don't want to be in the Spitz in the full robe checking out the ladies.
Vince, real butt or stunt butt?
The butt was stunt in this particular case, but the torso is absolutely 100% real.
All right. I'll accept
What
that.
a weird gig to be a stunt butt.
Yeah.
That's a strange thing.
Don't have to
Can we
tell
bring in
me.
Vince's ass, please? Ass Wrangler. Where's the ass Wrangler?
No. Not Vince the ass. Bring in Vince's ass.
The movie is called Unfinished Business, opening in theaters this Friday, March 6th. Our guest is Vince Vaughn. We'll return more right after this on KROQ. You got any issues, Vince? You want us to run by Dr. Drew? You need any help?
Well,
Everything all right?
I don't know if I have it. Well, yeah, of course, there's always issues involved. But
He's a real doctor.
he is a real doctor. He does a real nice job, and he's out there helping people, making a difference. He's making a little money on it. So it's a win-win-win. It's 3 wins. It's not just a win-win. Right?
Also,
I want to talk about this quote, this Noel Gallagher quote with Taylor Swift.
I would like
Have
to
you guys
talk
seen
about this as well.
All right, this is
Just
Vince
I
hadn't heard
Vaughn.
about it till you brought it
Okay,
up.
just so you
Vince
know.
Vaughn, who is in studio talking about the film Unfinished Business, opening up everywhere on Friday, now wants to discuss Noel Gallagher.
But let me just let you know what you're walking into. Bean worships Taylor Swift.
She is my favorite.
Ralph and I can't stand her.
We're not fans.
So that's
And they're
where
wrong.
that's where we come from. So you tell us about the Noel
Well, I
Gallagher.
don't have a dog in the fight with Taylor Swift. She seems like a very nice young lady. She's writing her songs and she's doing her thing. I just appreciate always Liam and Noel's particularly Noel's kind of bluntness, how they sort of go about stuff and the things that they say.
All right, Allie, do you have the quote?
I do. When he was asked about Swift's knack for songwriting, he fired back, "Who says that? Her parents?" And you'd think, okay, funny. Then he went on. They said, "Well, no, people say that." His response, "Whose people? Name those people. You're effing lying. She seems like a nice girl," which you just brought up. Seems like a nice girl, but no one has ever said those words, and you effing know it.
I love him so much.
That's so rock
But what I find funny is, the interviewer might have been just turning it in a direction that he wanted with not real information or facts, saying, that this is kind of the buzz going around. And I like that that's what he focused on. It was like a cite your sources argument. Like if someone gave you statistics
Give me
that
some
felt a
names.
little inflated to get your point of view across.
So, Vince, when you hear something like that, because you do, you'll probably do 20 interviews today talking about the movie. Is there some part of you that is fighting to not say what you really think and to just, be polite and play the game?
Well, I kind of always feel like I state my mind and do stuff. I don't, I like to joke around and do that kind of stuff. But I don't know that I have kind of a real bone to pick with somebody in that kind of way.
Has there ever been a movie that you had to go out and promote that you didn't believe in and you basically just lied about it?
Well, there's been times that you've in that situation, but what I find is that you just kind of nicely not, you avoid that kind of topic, and you don't kind of get into it too much.
So
But that's a
name the movie.
legendary interviewer's trick when they don't want to put their own point of view out there. They'll say, people have been saying.
Well, that's why Noel took that guy's head off.
And that's why it's
Name the
beautiful.
people.
Is because
That's
they
why
made
it's beautiful that he did that. But I always got a kick out of those two, and they were kind of fun mixing it up. They definitely had a point of view about stuff, and the songs were great.
Yeah, but they're stuck at 13 years old, the two of them.
Yeah, there's a problem. There's definitely a
little
problem.
petulant.
They're definitely got some issues there.
Who do you love musically? You mentioned Oasis. Who else is like if we looked at your phone right now, Vince? What music's on there?
Well, I like as we were talking, Tom Morello, Rage Against the Machine. I always liked. I think Morello's really really talented. I always like the Clash and. I like a variety of stuff. I like
Bieber? Not a Bieber?
Am I a believer? Is that the question?
Are you a believer?
I don't know what to believe at this point. Right? What are we supposed to believe at this point? Does anyone have a? What's up with the scissor, by the way?
What is up with the scissor?
What's up with the scissor? What's up with the Fanta and the Dayquil? What's going on? And now that he's 21, does the scissor stop? Because now he can actually go buy like an actual drink, or does the scissor keep going? I just think these kids are doing Dayquil and grape soda. What's happening? Who comes up with scissor? They won't let us buy booze, but the Dayquil really will rock us. And let's throw some sugar in there to keep us
Jolly
awake. So
Ranchers.
we got Dayquil, so we're not falling asleep. We got caffeine, we're not falling asleep. Let's see if we start making good decisions in about 4 hours, right?
Speaking of good decisions, Vince, we all made fun of Bieber because he went off the rails, and a lot of people tried to defend him by saying, look at what was handed to him when he was 15, 16, 17 years old. You got kind of famous young. Did you ever go crazy and kind of look back now and go, wow, I'm glad I was able to come back from that?
I think it's a little different because I was 18 when I moved out here, and John and I didn't make swingers till I was 24. So I had lots of real life rejection and sort of a normal process, And I do think there's some validity when someone's that young and they're put in that situation, and then they're kind of like, what's the barometer for them to even kind of get regular social habits. You don't have that group of friends who kind of keeps you in check or what have you. So I do think there's an understandability for why someone can drift, and I think we see it so many times. It's not like he's a unique case.
Yeah.
There's a lot of those cases, so there's a part of that that's sad.
But still F him, though, right?
Well, I don't know if I'd say F him. I just feel like, it feels like he's at a moment now, and what do I know? But it looks like he's trying to recognize and grow up a little bit. So I always like to see someone kind of get in a better place,
Look,
know?
I'm not a fan of his, but I have always said if I get that kind of fame and money in my life when I'm 16, I might be worse than him.
Yeah.
I don't know, like that.
Oh, you
I'm
would
not a
have been,
fan.
for
I'm not a
sure,
fan of
yeah.
the music. I mean, it's not my thing at all. The music is nothing that I would listen to. No disrespect to the believers out there.
Sure.
But
Bean.
just shooting straight. And
In
Bean,
his
Bean, are you a
defense,
believer?
though-
Bean, are you a believer?
No, I'm not at all. Although I liked him very, on his first record, I thought he was enormously talented for his age. I really did. I was really impressed, but it didn't take long after that before he threw it all away. Did you have any trouble adapting to fame when it did come after Swingers?
Did I have trouble adapting to it? Yeah, I think there's a little bit of when it first kind of happens that it's just sort of a new thing that goes on. And, for me, I like going out hanging out and, still that I don't have a group around me or I never been that way. It's against sort of my personality. So it was an adjustment to realize like, hey, I may not be able to go, walk down here or go to the farmer's market or the local thing and just sort of say hi. And then I just sort of pushed through it and kept doing it anyway.
And now we just hear horrible things about you help out the Special Olympics, doing polar plunges, horrible things like showing your
that's a
movie
smoke
to the
screen, guys. I
USO.
hide some of the terrible traits that I have. You know that.
No,
Very clever.
you
Yeah.
only
Look at
hear
me. I'm
amazing
helping people
things.
out. You guys know I'm hurting people. I'm taking money.
Why was that
No.
necessary, by the way, the
No.
whole jumping in Lake Michigan thing?
know,
Why
it's
did that have to happen?
It's unclear. There's lots of ways to bring awareness to stuff.
That's what I was thinking.
It's unclear,
You
but
certainly
that was
could write a check. That would be very helpful. I
you
don't
could
see why
write a check.
you
They
would
said
have
we're
to
gonna
do that
we're gonna
to
polar
yourself.
plunge and we're gonna do this thing, and I was like, yeah, okay, great. And I realized like it's record breaking cold.
Yeah.
Like, what was the temperature that
It was
that morning you did?
26, but Lake Michigan is not a warm body of water to
not?
begin with. No, it is
Wow.
not.
You should have done some research.
So I was like, all right. I started walking down the thing, and I get there, and it's fine. But the moment I came out of the water, it does feel like you can't breathe. It's so damn cold. It's really, really cold. But if you look at the photos, I'm smiling like, hey, baby, it's groovy. I'm playing with the house's money. Come on. Who wants to come back to my place? But really, I was inside. I was freezing. I was wondering, is this where it all stops? I'm glad there was bagpipers who walked me into the water because we could just turn this into a funeral here at the same time.
Danny Boy playing.
The Celtic women could show up,
Vince Vaughn is here
respect me in song.
That's right.
again. The film is
Who
called
doesn't want to be respected in song?
We all do.
Sure. Unfinished Business is the name of the movie, opening up everywhere on Friday. And by the way, Vince is getting his hand and footprint in the cement out in front of the TCL Chinese Theater this morning at 11 o'clock. It is open to the public for folks who want to come down. That's a rite of passage for an actor right there, huh?
Yeah, it's definitely fun to be included. It'll be fun. Favreau's going to introduce me, so I look forward to it.
All right, a quick break. Come back one more with our friend Vince Vaughn when we return right after this on KROQ. This weekend's hilarious movie, Unfinished Business. Vince Vaughn in studio with us here on the Kevin and Bean Show. Go see the movie, folks. We've all seen it. It's very, very funny. And look for Vince this morning at 11 o'clock out in front of the TCL Chinese Theater, getting his hand and footprint ceremony. By the way, speaking of the movie, I know you've been doing a ton of press, bunch of interviews, and we really appreciate you coming by here today, Vince. You also did something a little unusual for publicity. Tell us about the stock photos that you and the cast shot.
I just found out about those. I don't remember doing a shoot for those, but they released these photos where I guess people in offices can look like they're part of an office meeting with Tom Wilkinson and Dave Franco and myself. It looks kind of goofy and funny. But I didn't know that they were doing that. That was news to me. I think it just came out the last couple days.
Was someone wearing a hidden camera and you didn't know you were being shot?
I don't know if they just were able to take images either from film or from still photos and create that, but there wasn't a photo shoot per se of us sitting around in kind of the office.
Don't you
point of
love
view.
knowing that in some company's introduction manual in 100 years, your photos are going to be up there? Nobody's going to have any idea who you are. You're just going to be stock photos.
I thought you were going to go darker. I started to think of things that they could be doing to the photos. I thought you made me think that you're right. There's probably people doing all kinds of different stuff to those photos.
Yeah, that's true. That's
Yeah.
a weird angle to take. It's a weird way to go, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a kind of a strange thing, but it's out there, and do what you want with them. That's your choice.
All right, new business, Vince.
Yes.
You're going to television.
Yeah, I'm doing True Detective, which I'm really excited about. What I like about it is it's kind of it's just it's 8 episodes, so it's a complete story. There's no continuation of it. It's not a series. It's its own kind of long story in that format. And I was really blown away with the first one that they did.
It was amazing.
Too.
And it's the same writer, same show creator. And what's awesome about this, it all takes place in L.A., so it's an L.A.-based crime story. And he always does a good job, I think, of getting into different worlds and different cultures and kind of things that are going on. So it's kind of interesting that way. And then the characters are all really, complicated, which as an actor makes it really fun.
Is this just a long play for you to get a Lincoln commercial? Is that where you're heading for here?
No, I have not had any of those negotiations
Yet.
Yet.
How long has it been since you've been on a TV series?
It's been a while.
Have you ever been on a TV series?
Younger, of
Besides
course.
as a guest actor,
No, younger, of course. I was a big deal. I remember I did China Beach. Remember that one?
Oh, no kidding.
Dana Delaney?
Dana Delaney. I had a couple lines and you found me dead.
Sex in the City.
Sex in the City. I showed up on that. Some after-school specials.
Oh, the more you know.
Ralph did after-school
you know what?
specials as
Maybe
well.
My first gig ever was an ABC after-school special. Yeah,
I
teenage
did-
gambling.
I did a teenage gambling.
That was my issue.
What was yours,
Which,
Vince?
by the way, is what's the problem? You know what I mean? I don't know why we're tackling that. I
much
want
money do
I
kids
want
have
you
to
kids
spend
out there. I
anyway?
want you taking a shot. You know what I mean? Maybe you lose, maybe you win, but you're living. You're living.
What was your after-school special?
What was your
Oh God,
issue?
I
Do you
did all of
remember?
them. It's almost like White Favreau and Swingers wrote the scene talking about the audition for the after-school special. But one was unprotected sex. I think was an issue.
Sure.
Now, you were for or against it?
In the show, I
Yes.
think my character was pro unprotected sex.
Okay. All right. Good.
And then let's see, what else did we tackle? Me and Peter Billingsley, who's been a good friend for a long time. It's actually where I met Peter, and we were tackling the issue of steroids, and we were taking it head on. We were not pulling punches and dealing with steroids, guys. We're not gonna. I'm not gonna take a back step to anyone on this issue. But anyway, Peter Billingsley was an academic. And then Nicole Eggert was a new girl in town, and he fancied her.
Right.
And she made a comment about sports, and so he said, I better get involved in some sports. What better way than shooting up some roids and joining the track team?
Sure.
And
That's beefy for the track
that's
team.
right. So Peter Billingsley decided, his character, of course, I don't want to blur lines,
Right.
that pumping some roids in his veins on a daily basis and keeping it secret for those extra seconds on the track team might be the way to Nicole's
That sounds
heart.
awesome.
And then I was his friend who was kind of a jock, and I found out, and I liked him for who he was. You guys know that.
Sure.
And I didn't know why he was doing this, and he asked me to keep this dirty secret just till after the race.
What'd you do?
Well, I kept the secret, although I was concerned. And then guess who collapsed?
No.
Oh. You collapsed?
No, he collapsed.
He
He's the one running the
collapsed.
race.
Taking the steroids,
He collapsed.
Kevin, come on,
He
see that
collapsed
coming.
right before the finish line.
How
which,
guilty did you feel?
Well, I didn't feel great about it in character. And then that set up a beautiful 7-minute monologue where a doctor got to tell everyone listening the downfalls of steroids. So
Is that online somewhere,
You
Vince?
came for the fun, and you ended up learning something.
Nicole wind up
shoot
liking
needles.
him?
Don't shoot needles in your arm to run track.
Right.
Yeah,
She
where did
liked him.
Eggert-
You know
where did
what the
Eggert
heartbreaking thing of this story was? She would have liked him anyway. Can you believe it? It's like Gift of the Magi, that short story.
If you only knew that.
He had her at hello. He had her at a high. And,
All right,
and
here's
then
the-
he ran this way.
Here's the CBS School Break Special is what it's called. Season 8, Episode 1, called The Fourth Man. Vince, you remembered that? Do you remember what
That's
your
it.
character?
That was
you
it.
remember what your character's name was, Vince?
That I don't remember.
The
You were-
CBS School Break Special.
I've never heard of
That's
that.
like
Yep.
the low rent version of the ABC After School Special.
Don't you pee on my fire hydrant.
You were Steve Guarino.
That's right.
Steve Guarino, wanting to seek his father's approval, a high school student starts using steroids to make the track team, but soon these drugs start to take a toll on his body.
You know what? I think if you would have read that right off the bat, then people wouldn't have had to sit through my sloppy explanation of it, because you just said it exactly correct, sir.
No, it was beautiful. Please tell me it's online. We have now. I have to see this.
It might be findable. Adrienne Barbeau, she dazzled in that. She was in that thing.
All right.
And yeah, it was a moving one. Get a Kleenex box out for that one, guys, because you're going to see some friendships taken right to the limit.
Oh, I thought it was for Adrienne
And
Barbeau. I
don't
needed
you
a Kleenex
dare.
box.
Don't you dare.
It's a whole
Wow.
different reason.
Very different.
Don't
Well,
you
I
dare.
think,
Don't you dare put your eyes on that unless you got some tissues, guys. we're gonna test the boundaries of friendship.
I think the bookends of your phenomenal 25-year career are going to be the CBS after school special right there, and then Unfinished Business. I think that's the 1-2 punch you'll be remembered for right there.
Is he
Vince.
done after Unfinished Business?
No, but I just
Swan
think
song?
at 25 years, I think this is a nice place to take a break and reevaluate. And I think Vince has done two great things, and those are the two we're talking
A
about.
little Flugenschlagen at this point.
That's
Little
right.
Flugenschlagen.
That's right.
All right, listen, we know you got to walk out the door. You got a very busy day. Have fun down there with the hands in the
This is
footprint.
always my favorite place to come. I love your guys' show. So thanks for having me, and we'll see you down the road.
Sounds great, Vince. Thank you, sir.